गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये।
Krishna, thank you. So this week has been very, very powerful, spiritually surcharged week. Few days back, we had the advent of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, and then there was Bhishmashtami. Then day before yesterday was Disappearance Day of Srila Madhavendra Nadhvacharya, and today is the Disappearance Day of Sripad Ramanujacharya. Very powerful acharyas. So I will speak on Sripad Ramanujacharya. Especially, I will take that section which I have never been able to take so far. Although I spoke again in the morning at Gurgaon temple. They had called me. So I had gone there. I'll speak the Pranam Mantra first. Very powerful Pranam Mantra of Srila Ramanujacharya. I don't know, most of you know, there is a very big deity of Ramanujacharya and a big monument in India near Hyderabad. It is 216 feet statue of Sripad Ramanujacharya, and it is called the Statue of Equality. Like we have the Statue of Liberty in US, but far more powerful than that Statue of Liberty is the Statue of Equality, where Sripad Ramanujacharya has been honored. His teachings and his philosophy is being broadcasted all over the world. First, I'll speak his Pranam Mantra, and then at the final day of his departure, he gave instructions to his followers and disciples. I will take that section, and that section is presented by none other than Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur himself. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, long back, he gave the teachings of Sripad Ramanujacharya. So that we will discuss to the extent we have time. The Pranam Mantra is, hear very attentively. Yo nityam achyuta padambuja yugma rukma vyamohatas taditarine triniyamene asman guru bhagavatasya daika sindhu Ramanujasya charano sharanam prapadde. I will explain first. Yo nityam achyutta padambuja yugma rukmaha. So nityam means eternally, and who is eternally meditating on Achyut Padambuja, the lotus feet of Lord Achyut. Of course, his worshipable deity is Lord Vishnu, Lord Ranganath. So he is always meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Ranganath. And what are the lotus feet of Lord Ranganath? It's the Yugma Rukmaha. It is the shining hue, the golden hue which is emanating from the lotus feet of Lord Ranganath. This is constant meditation. Vyamatas tadatarina. His mind is completely captivated to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and he considers everything else in this world is Trinaya Mene. Trin means, you understand? Trin. Tyaktva tunam shesha mandalapati shrenim sada tuchvat. The same. what our 6 Goswamis were doing. They were only considering the instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their only meditation, and everything else in this world was as insignificant as a straw in the street, useless. Vyumatas taditarini. So their mind his mind is completely captivated to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, from where he is constantly meditating, and everything else other than anything and everything else from the lotus feet of the Lord is trinayamene. It is useless. It is worthless. They did not accept it. So such a personality, Asmad Guru Bhagavatasya. So that personality who has appeared as the spiritual master, Asmad Guru, is Bhagavatasya, which Srimad Bhagavat describes as a person Bhagavat. And he is Dayeka Sindhu. He is an ocean of mercy. He is the savior of the Dayeka Sindhu, those who are fallen, those who are in destitute. He is the savior. He is an ocean of compassion for such personalities. And that personality is Ramanujasya Charano Sharanam Prapadde. So I take shelter of the lotus feet of Sripad Ramanuja. I take refuge at the lotus feet of my divine Guru, spiritual master Sri Ramanuja, who is the ocean, Sindhu of mercy, who is deeply immersed in devotion. On the 2 lotus feet of Achyut Lord Narayan, completely captivated to serve the golden lotus feet, considering his only wealth, and everything else in the world has no value or meaning to him, considering all worldly things, pleasures as dust. His love towards the divine Lord. He is our Guru, ocean of mercy with transcendental qualities. I bow down perpetually to him. That is Sripad Ramanujacharya, one of the great stalwart acharyas who came to eliminate the imposter theory of impersonalism. So you have so many times heard my classes on Sripad Ramanujacharya. All of you have heard, I hope. So I will not repeat that. But what I have not been able to cover so far, that I will want to discuss with you. This is also for my own nourishment. That what are his final instructions? Like Guru Maharaj, he gave the 10 final instructions. You should all have a copy of Guru Maharaj. I'll prepare it for you and give every one of you one copy of it. You should keep it in a prominent place where you can at least 3 times in a day be reminded of our guiding instructions, our guiding force. So these are the guiding instructions of Sripad Ramanujacharya. He gave at the very last final moments of his life for his followers. So this is the, can you see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. The instructions of Srimad Ramanuja Swami, the Acharya of Sri Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya Acharya Srimad Ramanuja Swamira Upadeshaha. Sri Sampradaya Acharya Srimad Ramanuja Swamira Upadesh was published by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Sajjan Toshni, volume 7, issue 3 and 4 in 1895. So quite old. How many years old? More than 131 years old. Due to the fact that there were not so many Sri Vaishnavas in Bengal, the Thakur wanted to familiarize his readers with the teachings of Sri Ramanuja, which were very akin to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. The shlokas that he included in this article are from chapter 65 of Prapannamrit Tarpanaha. This is one of the writings of Sripad Ramanuja and his followers, of course. An old hagiography of the Alvars and Acharyas of Sri Sampradaya written by Anantarya. The Sanskrit verses from Prapannamrit Tarpana are followed by an English translation by Bhakti Vinod's Bengali explanations. So this is translated by B.V. Giri, Swami B.V. Giri. The philosophy of Sri Ramanuja Swami, the foremost Vaishnava Acharya, is that all Vaishnavas are worshipable. Very important. There are not many Vaishnavas of the Sri Sampradaya in this province, Bengal. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas have not seen the work of Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. Now in this article, we will present his instructions. The first instruction, Yato Yatishwarastene Rangina Janapitastada Pravivesha Matham Shriman Shri Vaishnava Samavrita. So this verse is speaking about that as one offers respects to Yatishwaras. Yati, Sripad Ramanujacharya was given the title Yati Raj. Yati Raj means one who is the king of the sannyasis. Sripad Ramanujacharya took sannyas, and amongst all the sannyasis, he was the emperor, he was the king of all the sannyasis. So as one gives respect, Yato Yatishwara Tene, as one gives the respect and one pays obeisances to the spiritual master, to a sannyasi, same way one has to learn to give the Vaishnavas the same respect. This is the teaching of Sripad Ramanujacharya. And on what basis he is quoting? He is quoting on the basis of Ranganath, Lord Ranganath Swami. On the command of Lord Ranganath, the master of sannyasis, that is Yatiraj Ramanuja, entered the Matha accompanied by Sri Vaishnavas, and he gave these teachings. Shri Vaishnava Samayuha Yatte Tatra Sthitan Bahun Kripa Matra Prasannaryo Yatiraja Jagadguru Sarva Shastrartha Sarini Suvakyani Dvisaptihi Samaritya Vidyasu Bhuridan Mahayasha. Summoning all the other Vaishnavas who were elsewhere. So all his followers, all his disciples, whoever or wherever. That ocean of mercy, the universal Guru, Yatiraj Ramanuja, of great frame, graciously preached them by giving 72 wonderful instructions, which are the essence of all Shastras, bestowing this gift to his own Sri Vaishnava disciple. He spoke the following for their deliberation. From here is the actual instructions. Swadesikasya kenkarya Vaishnavasya cha Pratipatim samam kritva Kenkaryam karyet sada Purvacharyokta Vyaksheshu vivashe neva avartayet. Swadesikasya kenkarya. So this is the most important element in the teaching of Sripad Ramanujacharya. Those who went with me to Tirupati, if you remember, we went to that garden, that flower garden. Anyone remembers? That flower garden which was made by Sripad Anantacharya, who is the disciple of Ramanujacharya. So the emphasis of the entire Sri Sampradaya is on one aspect. And what is that? Is Kankarya. Kankarya means Dasabhav, Kinkari or Kinkara. Kinkara means servant, subordinate. One second, what happened? Always serve Gurudev and the Vaishnavas with equal veneration, because he was very much in respect and command. Sripad Ramanujacharya, he was such a big stalwart Acharya. So everyone paid him obeisances and respect. But his teaching is, he is telling his followers, his students, that as you worship me, in the same way you have to learn to worship the Vaishnavas. Always serve Gurudev and the Vaishnavas with equal veneration. Veneration means respect. Have faith in the words of the previous Acharya. Purva Acharyo Ukta Vakeshu Vishwashaha. Neva Vartayet. And of course, it is Pratipatim Samam Kritva. That is, that one should have same and equal respect. And what kind of respect? Kenkaryam Karyet Sada. That always remain subservient to both the Guru and to the Vaishnavas. This is the first and foremost instruction. So, two principal elements Lord Chaitanya accepted from Sri Ramanujacharya. Anyone remembers? From all the four sampradayas. Yesterday I told about two. From Sripad Madhvacharya. Anyone remembers? From Madhvacharya, what were the two elements? What were the two principles that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted? You should know all this. Yes, Priyanka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. First
Hare
one
Krishna.
is complete annihilation of impersonalism.
Very good. It is called Keval Advait Nirasana. Note down the Sanskrit also. You should know it. Keval Advait Nirasana. Complete annihilation and defeat. Actually uprooting. Uprooting the impersonalism. Okay, very good. Perfect. What is the second one? You don't please answer. Let others answer. I know Ramya will speak, but what about others? Pranab, what is the second element? It's very simple.
Guruji, I think worshipping Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord.
You are close but not precise. That is there, of course. All Vaishnavas, Acharyas will have this as the principal goal. But what practice or principle did Lord Chaitanya accept from Sripad Madhvacharya? Second. First is Keval Advait Nirasana. What is the second one? Dayāśīl Prabhu is not there, Ramya? What is the second one? Pradeep? You also answer sometime. Someday you also give answer. Your family is follower of Ramanujacharya.
Vishishta Advaita.
I am not asking his philosophy. What is the principle that Lord Chaitanya accepted from Madhvacharya Prabhu? I have 72 instructions. How will I follow? How will I cover? You people will not support me. Give me an answer immediately. What is the second element that Mahaprabhu picked up from Madhvacharya? One, Priyanka Mataji has already spoken. Keval Advait Nirasana. What is the second one? Yes, Dayāśīl Prabhu. बोले दयाशील प्रभु. What happened? The connection is lost. Manoram, आपने तो सुना नहीं होगा. You don't have time. In this life, it is not possible for you. You will become, a Nobel laureate in the lab. A rat. बोलो दयाशील.
Deity worship, deity worship.
I want the proper term. I will not accept this. Deity worship. It is not deity worship. What is the term? Give me even it is close, I will accept it.
Deity is not different from the Supreme Lord.
So, you are not a novice. You are not a first year intake in Krishna consciousness. You are giving such general terms. I will not accept. Purushottam bolo.
तो कृष्ण मूर्ति सेवा.
हाँ, और श्री विग्रह सेवा और कृष्ण मूर्ति सेवा. It is seva. It is seva. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is manifesting through that vigraha. So what are the two limbs which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted from Sripad Ramanujacharya now? Who will tell? Pranab, now you tell at least. What are the two? At least one. Among the two is this one, which is the first instruction. You should be knowing all this. I remember early in Krishna consciousness when I came, our teacher took test. He first gave classes on 4 Sampradaya. First, initially learning was on 4 Sampradaya. He first said that you should know where we are. It is much earlier than my initiation. And after that, Prabhuji took test. And he said those who will pass in that test will continue in my class, otherwise they can leave. That was the kind of strictness we had. Bolo, Pradeep, what are the elements or teachings which Mahaprabhu accepted from Ramanujacharya? What teaching is reflected in the first instruction that we just read?
Always respect Guru and Vaishnavas.
Don't repeat that, yeah. What is the element? What is the principle? What is the principle? Like principle we saw that Keval Advait Nirasana or Sri Murte Seva or Sri Vigraha Seva. What is the principle? Yes, Pranab, bolo.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is it Vaishnav Seva?
Yes, yes. Vaishnava Seva. Vaishnava Seva. Very important aspect is Vaishnava Seva. Bhakta Jana Seva or Vaishnava Seva. Same. So this instruction is falling from Bhakta Jana Seva. Next instruction. Na vartayet indriyanam kinkarascha divanisham samanya shas nirato nevatishtet kadachane. Very, very practical. He says, na vartayet indriyanam. Do not become slave of your senses day and night. So if you don't become the servant of Lord Vishnu and his servant, what you will become? You will become servant of your senses. So do not become slave to your senses. Na vartayed indriyana kinkaram cha diva nisham. Diva is day and nisham is night. And samanya shastro nirato. Apart from Paramartha Shastra, that Shastra which lead to the highest realization. Other Shastras are mediocre. Do not become engrossed in them. Neva tishthet kadachana. So do not pick up any book and every book. I know one of the professors in IARI. Every time he comes to the temple or I meet him in any spiritual assembly, he told me, Prabhuji, मैं कौन सी किताब लूं? मैंने कहा हमने आपको कितनी बार निवेदन किया है कि आप एक ही किताब पढ़ो, वो है भगवत गीता। पढ़ो तो सही, कोई एक अध्याय तो पढ़ो। वो नहीं पढ़ेंगे, बस कलेक्शन करेंगे। मैं वहां गया था, मैंने वो वाला पुस्तक खरीदा, मैं आज यहाँ आया हूँ, मैं आज ये पुस्तक ले रहा हूँ। वो खाली पुस्तक खरीदने में इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं। ऐसा हमें कभी नहीं करना है। और क्रोनोलॉजी, पहले भगवत गीता पढ़िए, पहले 10 साल भगवत गीता का अध्ययन करिए, मिनिमम 10 साल से ज्यादा तो मैंने किया, एटलीस्ट 10 years। कम से कम 10 बार पूरा भगवत गीता पढ़ लीजिए, कवर टू कवर। हाँ, जब पूरा भगवत गीता छप जाए हृदय में, तब फिर दूसरा पुस्तक पकड़िए, भागवतम। और जब भागवतम पूरा कंप्लीट हो जाए, तब चैतन्य चरितामृत पढ़िए। देखिए, सब आचार्य मना कर रहे हैं, और उसके बाद भी हम सोचते हैं हम आचार्य क्या है, हम तो आचार्यों से ज्यादा एडवांस्ड हैं। हाँ, हमें ज्यादा पता है आचार्यों से। क्या बोल रहे हैं आचार्य, ध्यान से सुनिए। हाँ, ये उनका फाइनल इंस्ट्रक्शन है। बोल रहे हैं ऐसा कोई भी ग्रंथ नहीं पढ़ रहा है जो परमार्थ शास्त्र नहीं है। दैट शास्त्र which leads to highest realization. Other shastras are mediocre. Do not become engrossed in them. भगवद विषय शास्त्रे निरता सर्वदा वशेत आचार्य कृपया पूर्वम संजाता ज्ञान सागरम। ब्यूटिफुल। भगवत विषय शास्त्रे निरता सर्वदा वसेत। by the mercy of the Acharya Kripaya Purvam, Sanjata Jnana Sangram. Unless and until you receive the mercy of the Acharya, of the spiritual master, you cannot gain even a drop of knowledge. So initially, by the mercy of the Acharya, will be attain knowledge of Bhagavan, Bhagavad Gyan, by being immersed in that Shastra which delineates bhakti to Bhagavan. So that understanding, that realization will come only when we are blessed by the Acharya, by the spiritual master. Bhuyan Shabdadi Vishaya Kinkaro Neva Vartayet Sarvan Shabdadi Vishayan Samaneva Vilokayet. Do not become a slave to the thing of this world, such as sound, touch, smell, taste, sight, etc. What are these? These are all the senses, sense objects. In other words, all these things should be considered with indifference and only accepted when necessary for work. In particular, one should not become attached to material objects. There are three aspects. Today we were discussing in our forum that one is not able to restrict his senses from the sense object. So such a person is called Vishayi. Vishayi. Vishayi means those who want to enjoy the sense object. So sense objects do not have any nectar or amrit. It has poison, vish. So one who is sucking poison or one who is trying to lick poison, he is Vishayi. Then higher than Vishayi is one who has taste for sense objects. But what he does not want to enjoy them individually. He wants to utilize that sense object also for Krishna's service. So that is called dovetailing. You will see Prabhupada giving this term many times in his writings, to dovetail. What is dovetailing? That we have desire, we have attraction for the sense objects. But what we do not always enjoy the sense object, but we also engage the sense object in Krishna's service. Like I like kulfi. So I will prepare kulfi, offer it to Krishna and enjoy. This is dovetailing. But final, the highest, it is called Vairagya. What is Vairagya? When one has no taste to enjoy the sense object. But when the sense object comes to him, he utilizes the sense object solely and exclusively in Krishna's service. So here Sripad Ramanujacharya is recommending that do not become slave to the things of this world, such as sound, touch, smell, taste, science, etc. In other words, all these things should be considered with indifference. This is all virakti, and only accepted when necessary for work. In particular, one should not become attached to material objects. Pushpachandan tambula dravyadeshu sugandhishu vasana ruchi karyani kadachinnev karet. Do not perform activities that cultivate the tendency to desire nice things, such as flowers, sandalwood, tambul, etc. I mean, not to have desire to enjoy all this intoxicants or sense objects. In other words, perform actions that cultivate a tendency towards bhakti by only accepting the remnants of Bhagavan. Ya pritir asit satatam Bhagavan Nam Kirtane. Very beautiful. Sasyat pritir hitad bhakta Nama Sankirtane Chaya. Just as you had love for performing kirtan of Bhagavan names. Ya pritir asit satatam Bhagavan Nam Kirtane. You may now have this same love. Sasyat pritir hitad bhakta Nama Sankirtane Chaya. Love for performing Sankirtan of the names of his devotees. So gradually what we have to develop, we have to develop prema for chanting Nama Prema. Then Prem Nam will manifest. Abhi now what kind of Nam we are doing? We are calling the broken names. And our heart is always breaking because we have to force to chant. There is no interest. So Sripad Ramanujacharya is giving us this goal that just as you have love for performing Kirtan of Bhagwan's name, you may now have the same love for performing Sankirtan of the names of his devotees. Sa syat pritirhi tad bhakta nama. As we have devotion or inspiration or attraction for calling Lord's name, same way we should always call out the name of the devotees. Karanam bhagavat prapte mahabhagavata ashraya iti matva dridam tesham agyaya vartayet sada. Having understood that the only cause of attaining Bhagwan is by taking refuge of Mahabhagavatas. Karanam Bhagavat Praptir Mahabhagavata Ashraya. Very clear. So what is the element or what is the impact of achieving the Supreme Lord's shelter is through his Mahabhagavat devotee, Mahabhagavat Ashraya. Iti matva dridam tesham. So you should always strictly obey their instructions. Iti matva dridam tesham agyaye vartayet sada. Should never fail to follow. Very sincerely follow with determination. Vihai Vishnu Kankaryam Vaishnavasya cha Vinashet Sanara Pragya Ragadi Pririti Yadi. Just as even an intelligent man is destroyed due to attachment to mundane sense objects, similarly, one who rejects service to Vishnu or service to his devotee is ruined. So the most valuable aspect that a devotee has in his life is his service to the Supreme Lord. That he should never compromise. Otherwise, he will be completely ruined. Nothing is left then. You can see the screen? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Vaishnavanam anusthane nopaye matim unnaye upayameva satatam unnayetsu mahamana. While performing Vaishnav Seva, Vaishnavanam anusthana, an intelligent man rejects upaya buddhi. Now upaya matim unayet. The mentality that it is a means and always maintains upeya buddhi. The mentality that it is the goal. One's mentality is called upaya buddhi when he considers that he will attain some other results through Vaishnava Seva. One's mentality is known as upaya buddhi when he thinks that the activity of Vaishnava Seva is only due to having previously engaged in many other types of sukriti. Na huyed eka vachanam mahabhagavatanjanan purva anjalim vaishnavanam dhrishti matre chakaryet. If one summons a Mahabhagavata, one must never use ekvachan, which is disrespectful. See how much emphasis he is giving. We are reading the 7th or 8th instruction. At least 4 or 5 times he has repeated or warned of how we should deal with a senior Vaishnava. If one summons a Mahabhagavata, one must never use the Ekvachan singular, which is disrespectful. One should use the Bahuvachan plural, which is respectful. Upon seeing a Vaishnava, one should fold his hand, Kritanjali, immediately. Harer Bhagavato Vishnur Vaishnavanam cha sannidho Pado prasarya navaset kadachit amalatmanam. One should not sit with one's legs spread before Bhagwan Vishnu or pure Vaishnava. This is there. This is one of the seva aparadha. In the deity room, one should not show his legs. He should keep it always covered and folded. Vishnu Guruvo Vaishnavasya Grahana Ancha Disham Prati Pado Prasarya Nidrancha Kadachin Neva Karyet. One should never sleep with his feet pointing towards the residence of the Guru, the Vaishnavas, or the Lord. Krita Nidra Samuvyaya Vadet Guru Parampara Mahabhagavatam Drishtva Nishanan Vishnu Sanidho. Upon waking up, it's very important, very practical tip. Please hear. Don't allow your mind to drag you out from here. Upon waking up, one should recite the names of the Lord and his devotees according to the Guru Parampara. This is what we should do every morning when we wake up. We should offer our respectful obeisances to all the Parampara members. This is what he is saying. Krita Nidra, as soon as you give up your sleep, Samuvyaha Vadet Guru Parampara. Vadet is to speak. What one should recite or speak? The entire Guru Parampara, Mahabhagavatam Dishva. And upon seeing a senior devotee who is close to Bhagwan, one must offer his obeisances. Mantra Raja Manushyanam Praname Dandvata Bhuvi Sankirtanam Bhagavatas Bhagavatasya va. One should offer Dandvat pranams while meditating upon the mantra Raj that has been received from the Guru. One should perform Sankirtan of Bhagwan and his devotees. Shri Vaishnaveshu Kurvatsu Tanchaktya Nabhi Pujya cha Madhe Chothaya Gamamam Apachara Tamo Bhavet. When Sri Vaishnavas are performing Kirtan, one does not worship them before they are finished or leaves in between. This is a great offense. Vaishnava Gamanam Shrutva Gacheda Avimukham Tada Sakam Gachet Kvachit Duram Bhaktya Tesham Vinirgame. When one hears of the Vaishnava is arriving, Vaishnava Agamana Shrutva, one should walk from some distance to receive him. And when a Vaishnava is leaving, one should walk home, one should walk some distance with him. Dvayor karane teva Dvayor karane tvena Mahadosha prajayate Atma yathartha manisham Sheshatvena cha Vaishnava. Failure to perform these two aforementioned acts. What are the two aforementioned acts? This is all talking about the respects to the Vaishnavas. Failure to perform these two aforementioned acts is a great defect. One must live one's life in accordance with Vaishnava Dashatva, submission to the Vaishnava and always worship them. Next is Vinayadi Guner Bhaktya Nanushritya Mahatmakan Deha Yatharth Manisham Prakartanam Grahe Grahe Gatva Gatvatha Namami Tesham Tesham Cha Sadaram Swanamna Purata Kritva Niyamadin Vihaya Cha Vartana Vaishnavasya Swarupasya Eva Hanidam. One should follow the Mahatma Vaishnavas with bhakti and the qualities of humility, etc. In order to maintain the body, materialistic persons continuously go back and forth from house to house. If you behave like them and put your name before them, you will abandon your principles and your Vaishnava's nature will be lost. Vishnurdavya Vimanani Gopurani Jagatpate Drishti Matrin Sahasa Karyad Anjalim Tada Drishtva Etara Vimanani Vishmayaneva Karye. Upon seeing Bhagwan's divine Vimana and Gopura, one should fold one hand. One should not be astounded in any way seeing the temples of other devas. Okay. Shutvana Vishmayan Gachet Devantara Kirtanam Vishnurva Vaishnavancha Nama Sankirtanani cha Kurutva Punya Purushan Dishtvana Vapam Vamucha Akashem Apacharesyan Madhyatesham Sunishchayam. Do not be amazed at hearing the praises of other devas. Shutvana Vishmaya Gachet Devantara Kirtina. When one does not attain bliss upon seeing devotees' platform, Nam Sankirtanam of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas, this is said to be aprachar, misconduct or aparadh. Shri Vaishnavanam Sarvesham De Chaya Nalange Swadhena Chaya Samswaran Vaishnaveshu Nakarye. One should never step over the shadow of Sri Vaishnava's body, and one shadow should not touch another Vaishnava. So in this way there are many, it's a very long list, very big list. It's a very big one, I'll share later. I will stop here. Most important we see is the emphasis is on Sri Vaishnav Seva. Now, how one should always accept that the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is there in the heart of everyone. We should be able to offer respects to everyone. Okay, I'll stop here. Some of you want to speak on glories of Sripad Ramanujacharya, you can share. Please speak. Whatever has inspired you in so many years. Boliye, your turn. You remember we went to Ramanujacharya's place, Srirangam. We saw the deity of the original deity, his life there. Ramanujacharya is still seated there in Srirangam in his own original फॉर्म। बोलो, पूछो। बताओ, श्रीपद रामानुजाचार्य के बारे में कुछ बताइए आप लोग, जो भी इंस्पिरेशन आपके पास है। क्या और किसी के पास कुछ नहीं है? Then I will stop. We will resume Srimad Bhagavatam from tomorrow. श्रीपद रामानुजाचार्य तिरुभाव तिथि महामहोत्सव की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।